Welcome to Stories of Our Childhood Forgotten Gifts, where we explore the fascinating stories of individuals who experienced intuitive, extrasensory, and other magical abilities during their childhood and beyond. For some, these gifts remain a quiet memory. For others, they are a call to reconnect with the extraordinary. My guest today is Anna Walmstrom. Anna is a finance industry executive from Sweden. Welcome, Anna, and thank you for joining us. You had some fascinating gifts as a young child. Would you like to tell us about them?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the things that happened a lot when I was a child, and I think happens to everybody, is dreams and some very vivid dreams and not knowing what is reality or not. So I have one dream, which was very vivid, where afterwards I'm fully convinced that I was abducted by aliens. So this kind of way of managing some of the things that's scary in life and finding plausible solutions to what it is. So I also always felt that I could sense people's guardian angels around them. I never saw it, but it's like this feeling that that's something positive. And being able to talk to ghosts, that helped. I think a lot of that had to do about also I wouldn't say that I ever saw them or ever actually knew they were there, but the ability to take away fear by being able to find a plausible solution to it or being able to communicate with them. So I lived very much in the world where all of that was vivid and real and could exist. And that gave like a thrill in my life and felt calm.
What was your earliest memory of these experiences? How old were you?
I can't remember the age, I would say, because it's like always existed. But I would say probably that very vivid dream that kind of stick to me. I must have been like 4, something like that, 3 or 4. I would say 5. I don't know, somewhere around that age.
And what was the dream? Do you want to share?
Yeah. So I'm lying in my bed and it's in my room. So you're in the normal environment. And there's this that I later came to call aliens, but there's individuals around my bed, not humans, doing surgery or kind of doing something with my body. And then they left. So very like real life in the way that you're still in the room and so on, but gave me this like really strong thrill. It was like a really like bad dream.
Yeah. And did your parents know that you were experiencing some of the things that you were, like having that dream, but also sensing guardian angels around other people?
So I think the guardian angels. So yeah, I did talk to my parents about it, and I went into I love that space. It was fun, so I went into exploring it more. So I think also this is where you have to kind of balance what is a skill versus what is something you want to be able to see or do. I love those books. I read everything I could about it, so I applied more like a scientific mindset to it. Like, what else could there be? It's funny. So yeah, everybody knew I was very open about the idea, but it was more on a knowledge base that actually saying something, and more the beliefs that everybody could do it. So more finding books, reading about things you potentially could do to find out, and then finding ways to, okay, but how do you do that? How does other people do that? So more exploring what's possible.
So what happened? What age did things start to change for you? And what was the reasoning for it? Was it trying to fit in with everyone else, or was it just that they faded?
I would say I probably kept it longer than others because it became like a hobby. It became like an interest, and I read up a lot. And then it served me well. It took away fears. It made me brave. It made me special. You could do party tricks. So as I was growing a teenager, we were doing like seances and Ouija boards and talking to the spirits and going to the cemetery at midnight. Yeah, because that was it was party tricks as well. So I kept it very long. So why did it stop? It probably stopped because it didn't serve me any longer. There were 2 things going on. One is I was reading more and you get more, you're exploring more. And you realize, yes, sometimes it works, but not always. It's like, where's the true, yes, this works versus the belief systems and the fun. And the other part was when I was growing even older, it wasn't as fun party trick any longer. I moved on. I went to universities. I think you just wanted to fit in. So it's just more gradually evolved. But I would say I was quite old versus many others, I think.
And today, how are you today about all of this?
Well, I'm very much in a scientific mind. So I still believe there's things we don't know from a scientific perspective. I love how the feeling of power and the beliefs you also tell ourselves can help us on an emotional and intellectual level. Why take something away if it makes you feel good? So, like, it's that kind of magic where you see things, where you feel comforted, where you feel you're not alone. The guardian angel is fabulous. It's like perfect. Don't necessarily have to believe that it's real, but it's still like a really nice environment. So all of that I love. But I do think today, I believe more in the scientific part of it. So I wouldn't say I believe in ghosts today. I'm curious about if anybody has a story and why. And what is it that tricks their brain to see it or believe in it and what's happening? And let's explore it. So still very much curious about it, still very much open-minded, but more from what could this be? Why is it? How can we use it? How could that be something good? And not trying to talk it out of people. But I think today we're very much, there's like two worlds. So either you're very much into a world which is more magical, or you're very much into the world which is more scientifical. But there's just a very big gap in between, I'm sensing, where one world might go a bit too far to the edge, which means that the other world doesn't listen to it. So the conversations between the two groups, I think, are a bit flawed today. And the curiosity about it.
Yes, it's good that there's curiosity out there. And do you have children, and have they been through the same? They had those experiences.
No, I wouldn't say actually. I have children. They're older teenagers. But no, we actually talked about it before this interview. They didn't have any of those experiences that they were sharing. I was wondering if I had a slightly more insecure childhood where I needed more of that trust. I had divorced parents and things was going on and we were moving a lot, where they had a very secure childhood. So for me, it was a comforting. It made me strong. It gave me, the feeling that I can do this and I'm not alone. But they didn't do that. But I don't know.
It's an interesting one. And I do wonder at times when we're a bit more solitary as children, whether these abilities are there, whether it's something that becomes part of our life. For some of us, we've kept these abilities all our life. In some ways, they're changed and they do come back. If there was one to come back right now and one that you had really strongly, what would that be? If you were to choose one.
Well, I think if you can use, we also played a lot as teenagers around using our joint forces to make things happen. And so before a test in the morning, standing in a circle and really wishing that we wouldn't have the test. And 3 to 4 times in a row, we didn't have the test. And one of the times something happened to the teacher and he got sick, or I think he broke his leg. And of course that didn't feel right. So we stopped doing it. It might have been just coincidence. But the whole fact that you don't know if it's a coincidence and you're steering the energy towards something that then ended up being something bad. But I think if there's a possibility to use that power, and if it's a power to something very good, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. And we can use that power for good, which is worth developing again. Just out of curiosity, why do you feel it's important to share your story with others?
Well, I think, as I told about that divide, that there's this science versus the non-science. I'm very much into the science, but I'm also super curious about what we don't know yet. And I think part of that is what science is. We don't know everything out there yet. We're still learning things. So I think opening that dialogue between the worlds, the rational world, so to say, people, we also have experiences. And since you asked me to do this, this has been my dinner conversations. So I've asked people around me what their experience has been and what they experienced as a childhood and what happened when they stopped to believe and so on. And it's been a very interesting conversation piece because people open up in a different way, and you share stories and you share belief systems. So just that fact of talking about something that you naturally actually avoided, being in the more rational, scientific world and network, it just creates a different dynamic. So opening the curiosity, inviting both sides into doing things together and seeing what magic can that bring. I think that's what I'm a bit passionate about.
That is so good, because it really is about bringing back that innocence and that feeling of magic that we have as children and young people, and no barriers to who we were. For me, it was a silent world. I didn't speak to anyone about it. And it was in my late and things were very, very strong for me in many ways. So it was fascinating that no one wanted to know. It was, don't tell us, don't want to know. No, this is freaking me out.
But then maybe for other people, this is scary.
Yes, because for them, it's not normal. And of course, we then tried to dig into what is considered the normal world, and we let some of those abilities go. It's different for each of us, and we all have our own stories.
It's so individual. I think for me, it has been digging into the neuroscience and how the brain actually works, and understanding how the brain is such a magical, different creature than maybe we thought it was, and the ability that's in there, and then starting to play and explore with that. I think that's where I'm starting to really understand also the power of magic to make you feel good. So it's not necessarily the magic in itself, but it's sometimes the story, the magical story, the experience, the feeling. What is that releasing as biochemicals, and how can I feel better with it? So for me, it's always been about the exploration, the curiosity, and the testing of things.
And what advice would you give to young people who may be experiencing this right now, or to their parents who don't know how to deal with it if their child's talking to them?
Well, I think for me, it would be the open-mindedness and the curiosity, and not closing down and saying that doesn't exist, that's not for real, but asking the positive questions around how and how they experience it, and tell me more. Because no matter if it's real or not, and if you believe it's real or not, that person is experiencing that very strongly. So there is something happening. If it's happening in a magical sense, or if it's happening in their brains, or if it's happening because they have an emotional need, it doesn't really matter. They're still expressing something that you have to, be curious about and explore and help them with. And I think telling people that it's not real, or telling people that doesn't exist, that won't help them. That won't take them to the next level. So curiosity and being there.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. That was just wonderful to hear your story. And I love that it's your dinner party conversation right now.
It's fun.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that from others as well. It's like, oh my God, I remember, and it brings a smile to people's faces. It's like that innocence comes back and almost brings tears, because it's like, oh my gosh, I have that memory. And that's very special. And it's really important, I feel, right now, that we find that magic again in ourselves and that innocence, and that we share that. So to our audience, if you have a story of your own that you would like to share, then please be in contact. And until next time, remember, the magic within you never truly fades. Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Anne.